Hello, welcome everyone. You are listening to Que Madre and Warrior Mother. We are missing our lovely sister, Ali Cortez, who will be gone for the month of May, but we will welcome her back in June. Today we are talking about two things. One is stopping, like no more glamorizing the hustle. And how do we replenish ourselves to make sure that we have what we need, so that life is not just about hustling, but also about replenishment and pleasure. So, what do we want to talk about?
Yes. So the hustle and grind is, everyone, I think, like you said, it's glamorized. It's always about the paper chase, right? It's always about chasing the money and like packing your day in with everything that you can do to hustle. Many people have side jobs along with their real jobs, and it's like, yeah, work until you drop. I am more so now, about all about the alignment and what fuels our soul. I think that a lot of times we get caught up in the everyday hustle and bustle, which is normal, I think. Excuse me. Especially as parents, as women, I tend to go from one thing to the next. I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of things, and I do have a lot of hustles. But the idea more recently has been, well, what actually aligns with what I want to do, and not just about chasing a buck. I'm not sure how you feel or how our listeners feel about that, but it's been something that's weighing heavily on my mind lately. Because what is it if if we are working, to the bone, and then it's unfulfilling? There are so many people out there that go to their everyday job and they absolutely hate it, and they dislike their coworkers, and the work is boring and it's mundane and it's just not fulfilling. So what do we do? What can we do if we're in this kind of situation?
Yeah, I feel like you're talking about me too. I think we lead very similar lives in that way, like just going from one thing to the next. And I think I wouldn't have gotten to this place of trying to reevaluate all that if um, I hadn't been burnt out more than a couple times. And I think part of it too is that as a grieving mother, March tends to be a difficult month for me, and I try to squeeze in or just give myself the permission to fall apart for 3 days, right from the um, day that she was born to the anniversary of her passing, or her angelversary. So that's 3 days. And then it's like my body remembers a lot more than my head is connecting. So I feel like this year, particularly, I just really crashed, and it's like my body wouldn't let me do the typical hustle and grind. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's like my body's rebelling against me. It's like, nope, you need to process things, you need to slow down, and that should be okay. Um,
Yes.
I think also as women of color, we're just expected to do so much, and we're obviously hard workers, and I think that is also a subject of pride. Like, I'm happy I'm a hard worker, and at the same time, I'm like, I shouldn't always have to work so hard. I should be able to rest without people like giving me side eye about it. But sometimes I feel like maybe I'm the one giving myself side eye about it.
I was going to say, maybe it's you feeling guilty. Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I've just been realizing, that a lot of it is actually self-imposed. And so how do I deconstruct all the ways that capitalism has invaded my thinking and my being, to think that working 20 hours a day and only sleeping 4 of them, is
Yeah.
like the way to go.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that. One thing that you touched on that really struck a chord with me is that, the body remembers. The body remembers traumas. The body remembers what emotions, you're feeling at certain times. And so, how do we move that energy, through our bodies? And sometimes it is through rest, and sometimes that's the best thing that we need. I'm haven't been the best at that part, resting, but I'm working on it. I'm a huge advocate for naps when you can get them in, but it makes me go back to my friend Kiki Ely's book, and it's called The Complete Guide for Self-Care, and it has all of these components, to self-care. One of them, I think the acronym for that she uses is PIESS, PIESS, and that's going to be physical care, intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual care. So physically, when you are feeling taxed, when your body is just like, nope, you're going to lay down and you're just going to allow yourself to cry. I think that is one of the physical components, and also kind of like a spiritual moment as well. And then caring for your emotional needs. So it kind of hits, quite a few of those levels of self-care that we oftentimes kind of push to the wayside. It's like, no, I don't have time to sit here and cry, or I don't have time to rest. But it's so important. It's that whole pouring from your bucket. If your bucket's empty, how are you going to pour into others? How are you going to be a good mother if you have no energy? If you physically and emotionally are at a point where you're maxed out, how can you give to your children? How can you give to your work? How do we do that? So I'm with you. I think that there's so many levels to it that you kind of have to almost like deconstruct it a little bit in order to like identify what exactly is happening. Where do you feel it in your body? I really am a huge advocate of how does it feel? What sensation is it giving? Where is it? Where do you feel this pain in your body? And as always, when I think about moving stale energy through my body, I always go back to breathing and just ensuring that, you're getting just a huge oxygen flow in, and then kind of releasing on the way out. It's really healing.
Never underestimate the power of breathing. I think it's a huge help. In addition to breathing, I would say dancing is a big help. I feel like I got a lot of pies from Glitter Brunch. I'm still like on a high from that. I want to do it again. And I just think that just surrounding myself with good people like you and like Ellie, and the people that I organize with is a huge way that I can also replenish, is that way to like care for each other too.
Yes, absolutely. I have to say that my girl time is so important to me. And in the last few years, I've really come to realize how important sisterhood is for my own well-being. When I was younger, I didn't have, I had acquaintances, teammates, but really like close girlfriends, I just didn't have. I always, I got along with guys better. I was tomboy, it was easier. But now that I'm older, the girl time that I spend is such, it's soothing to my soul. It is healing in laughter, in kind of like flushing things out with your girlfriends, and especially those who can shoot straight with you. There's so much value in it. So for those listening out there, I would say if you can, you've got to find a solid group or one or two gals and spend some time, laughing and just in each other's company, dancing, I don't know, just find ways to connect with others who also speak to your soul.
Working out is another way. I feel like my personal trainer, not only does she help me get stronger in my body, but she also helps me, like, that strength that comes from my body also like comes out in other ways.
Mhm.
And she's such a dear friend. Like, we went to lunch recently. I took her out for her birthday. And the first question out of her mouth is like a straight question on something that she knows that I've been struggling with. I'm like, okay, we're not even going to have a drink before we get into this. We're just going to sit down and start. All right, I see you are the kind of friend that I need in my life.
Get to it. Yes, yes. Oh, I love that. Well, in training and with exercise, I always feel like it's a battle of the mind. Your body is going to do exactly what your mind tells it to do. So if in your mind you're like, I can't do this, this is hard, I'm giving up, my body can't take this, the body follows. And so I've always felt that fitness journeys are not always, it's not always physical. A lot of it, I would say a majority of it is mental, it's emotional, it's mostly in your head. And in your head, it depends on how you're talking to yourself, so really eliminating those beliefs that you can't, or any self-doubt, really eliminating that in your mind will help you get to where you want to go in your fitness journey. It's kind of it's like, how they say, like the food is the hardest part of your fitness journey, rather than the physical exercise part of it. Not to say that that's not difficult, but the hardest part and the biggest part, I'd say like 80% of it is going to be what your nutrition is like. And then also along that line is what are you intaking? So what are you reading? What are you ingesting for your mind or for your heart or for your soul? Who are you surrounding yourself with that can help you kind of overcome what's in your head?
Right. So it's not just like the food, it's also what are the messages that you're allowing to enter your spirit and your mind. So if you're
Yeah.
around negative people who doubt you, or who are playing mind games with you, or who want to dampen your shine,
Yes.
then if you continue to let that be around you, unfortunately, it is going to have an effect. So uh, it's important to also have our boundaries with people that we know are actually not good for us, and not make space for toxic people in our lives.
Yes. And that even whoever that could be, you might have a friend who kind of like low key like hates on you, or kind of might throw little jabs sometimes, and you're kind of like, hey, really kind of check in with yourself when that happens and see how that feels, in your body and in your heart. And if it doesn't feel right, I'm a huge advocate right now because of things that I'm going through personally, of not allowing toxic behaviors in your life if that's not, in alignment with what you want and how you see your life, no matter who it is. So maybe it's a best friend who you realize is, you know, a complete ball of negativity, or a family member whose behaviors might just really kind of grind your gears. I'm an advocate for drawing those lines and holding them. And if it means sometimes that certain people aren't allowed in your life, for a time being, like, maybe you just need a little time out for a little bit. I think
Gives them time to grow, right? Because maybe this is the issue that they're facing with you is something that they're replicating with other people, but they can't see it because everyone's just allowing them to continue those behaviors. So when somebody finally draws that boundary, it's like, oh, wait, maybe that's not okay what I was doing. Maybe I need to reflect on that and check myself before.
absolutely, yes, absolutely. And a lot of times, I'm not sure that people are aware of it, at times until it's brought to their attention. And while we're here, you're listening to Que Madre on KZAA 96.5 FMLP. We have Ana Rosaristo Centino, and I'm Siobhan Hoover, today talking about a lot of things: hustle and grind, alignment, self-care, girl time. And right now, speaking about boundaries and toxicity.
Oh, that toxicity, yes. I think it's important to recognize when it's coming from other people and then also recognize when it's coming from us. Because, right, none of us are perfect, and there are some things that we also need to work on. And I think that healing journey is so much centered on that, actually, is like, what kind of toxic behaviors am I imposing on myself? That's part of what I was mentioning earlier with the you must work, 20 hours a day kind of thing. There are definitely people in the past, let's say board members that made me feel that way. But in addition to that, I've always had a hard work ethic, and my mom has just always modeled that. Like, every day she would wake up at 4 in the morning to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all her kids so that, she wouldn't have to worry because she knew that she had two other jobs and she wouldn't see us until she got home, which often was close to midnight. Um, so she would literally like see us in the morning, and then we would already be sleeping when she would get back home. So she just wanted to make sure that we had the nutrition that we needed to get through our day, even if she couldn't be there in person with us. And so just seeing that kind of like, all right, if you love people, you take care of them. And I mean, when you talk about social organizing, social activism, that is a love that's rooted in community. And so, like, I want to be there for as many people as I can, my friends, my family. Um, and that leads me to stretch myself as much as I can. And I was just realizing, like, yes, it's good that I'm trying to be there for others, but when am I going to be there for myself?
Ooh. Ooh. You know what? I think a lot of us are guilty of spreading ourselves too thin and being everything for everyone. And it's just not possible, it's just not realistic. So I completely empathize with you, and your mother's work ethic that is incredible to me, the sacrifices that she made. I feel like there are so many women out there that do the same thing, day in and day out. My dad was like that a lot. He was just, I'm like, I can't function on not enough sleep. I don't know how these people do it, surviving on 4 hours, 5 hours a night. Like, I would just drop dead. In any case, I do feel that, these behaviors that we learn where it's like, oh, this is actually, it's admirable. But at the same time, it's like, how can one maintain this level of sacrifice and continue to be okay internally? And it just makes me realize how strong people were or are, like your mother, like how incredibly strong that she is to be able to feed her kids, do 2 jobs day in and day out. I think that's incredible sacrifice.
Yeah, I think part of it too is like, while you're in it, maybe you don't realize the toll that it's taking on you. But, just seeing the health issues that my mom has had now in her later years, it's like very indicative that these are resulting from a lifetime of like giving so much of herself.
Yes,
I
I
don't
do. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah, absolutely not. I do think that certain levels of stress and when you do tax yourself like that, I do think it brings on illness. Stress being number one is is I don't know, huge. So important, the importance of healing, and again the whole self-care thing, to ensure that you're pouring love into yourself and ensuring that you're getting that rest that you need. um, it's hard. It's really hard. And another thing that just came to mind is how how ugly and raw healing can be. When you are working on yourself, it is not always rainbows and butterflies and like, oh, I'm healing and look at me, I'm smiling and laughter and dancing. That is a huge part of it, but also kind of cracking yourself open and really taking a look at inside, and um, identifying things that can be changed within yourself. That is not easy. We are creatures of habit, and so we tend to stay where it's comfortable and stay um, in things that don't really serve us. So you know all of that can be very heavy. It can be very heavy and it can be very light. And so, there's a huge range to it, um, that I think that we should recognize.
Yeah, I was just thinking about a meme I saw. It's like somebody like broken down crying like in the corner of their bathroom. And it says, I thought healing was just going to be crystals and some yoga.
Yes, that's what I want it to be.
But a lot of crying.
Yeah,
Self-healing.
yeah, and ugly crying's okay. I feel that like that was a release of energy, through the body. So like movement can be through tears. And sometimes it's you feel so much better after, you are releasing um that emotion, you're releasing that energy, and it's like it's okay, whatever it looks like, it's okay.
Aw. Well, let's talk more about replenishment. How do we replenish ourselves as we are on this healing journey so that when we do have to ugly cry and crack ourselves open and change behaviors, what do we do to bring back that joy?
Mhm. Um, well, for me, I think just being conscious of it is one thing, but really, finding ways to find joy in everyday things. Gratitude is a huge thing for me. So, like, physically. So I go through those pies again, right? The physical, intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual. Physically, I have to exercise. Like I have to move. I have to exert my energy in one way or another. That is a way for me, for whatever reason, taxing myself completely physically brings on healing and replenishment for me. Um, having a very good belly laugh with my sister friends is it's one of my all-time highs, is laughing with people. um so for some people it might be art, and really kind of getting their emotion down on a piece of a canvas, or whatever their medium might be. We have you know uh, spiritual, so grounding, going to the beach and putting your feet in the sand, listening to the waves, just sitting there and enjoying that present moment and breathing. These are ways that we can replenish ourselves. um
How about
Hugs.
music and like in the live form, like going to a concert is one way, but also sometimes for me, when I'm really feeling stressed out, I'll just like take a drive and crank up my music. And, I'm an okay singer. I'm not the best, but just like singing my heart out to it.
Yes, yes. Music always soothes the soul. I'll tell you that much. And then, oh,
Kitties,
this, yeah, we have a visitor.
you
Um,
haven't mentioned me yet.
yes, I know. So, gosh. Um, yeah, going to live shows, that is also one of my favorite things, I have to say. I'm so excited for this summer and what shows might be on deck. So, um, there's some other ways. Oh, hugs was what I was gonna say. Kind of like a hug thug, like, before I go in, I'll ask people if they're comfortable, but I feel like um, connecting. Oh, well, again, it's a physical thing for me, the physical touch. I feel like hugs are just another way of healing, of replenishing. I feel connected to people when I get that hug in. And I think there was something that said like most hugs are like 3 seconds, but if you sit in it for, I don't know, like 20 seconds, it's just a long time if you're hugging someone. And so it could be
Probably not for the first hug you ever give someone, but someone you know well. Like I could hug you for 20 seconds and
I
I
can
feel
hug you for 20 seconds, yeah. It's a nice snuggle. Um, they say, the chemicals start going off in the brain, and it's almost like it's like a relief when you get hugs in for that long. So
is it oxytocin or is it serotonin? I get those confused.
yeah, I think it's the serotonin. Yeah. I think the oxytocin is the one that makes you forget. Well, you know what? I could be wrong. Don't let me steer you. Don't let me steer anybody wrong here
Well,
today.
'cause I think Billie Eilish has a song called Oxytocin,
Okay.
and it's a very sexual song. So I don't know if it's something that you only get through that kind of sexual touch, but
Yeah, touch. I'm gonna go Google as soon as we're done.
uh, yeah, I like hugs too. I guess I am also a hug thug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all of that.
Yes. And another way to replenish is naps. If you can squeeze in, a 20-30 minute nap, um, in your day, personally, that works wonders for me. If I don't set an alarm, it, that could be trouble. So make sure if you want to take a short nap, set your alarm and see how that feels for you.
Yeah, I heard 20 minutes is the perfect time for a nap. That is not
Mhm.
too short, not too long, but it just gives you that energy boost. For me, the timing of the nap also matters though, because if I take a nap later on in the day, then I just can't sleep at night.
Yes.
It like tricks my body thinking that that was my sleep for the night, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it has to be during the day. And I usually feel like I can only nap on the weekends because it stresses me out if I try to take a nap during the week.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. Sometimes if I didn't have a good sleep night and sometimes it's like a morning nap, like a mid-morning nap where I just need to replenish really quickly. And then once I do that, I'm great for the day. But yeah, I agree. Sleeping too late can really hinder your rest at night. Um, and I've really dialed back on any of my caffeine as of late. So yeah, no.
Yeah, I have to. I'm trying to do less of it because I noticed it gives me like anxiety because I already kind of border on that anxiety issue, but then especially if I have coffee, it definitely kicks in.
Yes, same. So more,
Good.
yes. Advocate for rest here. So yes.
I guess we have decaf.
And I do decaf, yes. I think that and I've been doing a lot of teas lately, which um has never been my thing. I just enjoy like the warm cup of like coffee. I like the taste of coffee in the morning. So
I like the smell of it too.
yes, it's the best. In any case, I know that we're coming up on time here. Do we have some last thoughts for hustle, alignment, for care?
Just take care of yourself, check in with your body, see how you're feeling. If you need a nap, take a nap. If you need a dance, do a little boogie. And we will be having other guests. I actually invited Mariah Durmiendo to our show. She's a Filipina woman who started her own nail business and is killing it. She's an artist and can pretty much do anything that you would want her to on nails. It's like the nails are her canvas. So
Oh,
I'm excited to have her on the show this month. And so you can look forward to that. And we can't wait to see you next week. You've been listening to Que Madre and Warrior Mother with Siobhan Hoover and Ana Rosa Rizzo Centino. We will be without Ali for a month, but she'll be back in June. See you soon.
hi.